I don't think it's supposed to do that. Welcome back to Tommy's Tune-Ups. For those of you following along, you know that I've been gathering parts and working on everything to get this 1983 Honda FL250 back together and running. I was waiting on this beautiful engine to come in because I need a crankshaft. Mine unfortunately was kind of damaged beyond repair. But I got an unexpected surprise this morning when I opened the box and discovered that it was broken in the mail. So the gentleman that sent this to me all the way from California, he put it in like a printer box just with some styrofoam packing peanuts. And this was poking through the box when I got it off my doorstep, and I took some pictures, pulled it out, and obviously it's damaged beyond repair, which really sucks because you have to use the studs on this flange to press the crank bearings out of the case. So I might end up just having to break that case apart to get the crank out. Not a total loss though. I think I can save the crank, hopefully, if it's good in there. It did come with an original carb, which is nice. I'll get this cleaned up in the ultrasonic cleaner and go through that. As well as it's got a clutch here. I was working on the other clutch that I have, and it actually needs a couple little springs. So these little springs here, there's supposed to be a little detent that comes up and it catches on the side of the roller, just like this. But I've got two of these springs that are broken, so hopefully there's some good springs in there. It really sucks, but it kind of is what it is. It's all you can do, right? Can't change how it was shipped to me, and I could try and find another engine, but I'm pretty invested in this one. I think it was almost $700 by the time it got to my door. So maybe we can get some money back, maybe not. We'll see what we can do. So I was really hoping I was going to be able to take my machine jug and head off of that engine and put it on this bottom end if everything was okay. That's not the case now. So first step, I want to pull this clutch off and then see if I can get this head off. It's pretty clean on the intake side of the engine. Like you can see the piston in there, it's nice, looks good. But on the exhaust side, when you peek in there, it is gross and all corroded. So it's stuck, the engine won't turn over. Hopefully the crank is alive in there, not all rusted up like the one I have. So the idea of buying this engine all the way from California was that it hopefully wouldn't have been so rusty and crusty and would have been in good shape, but we're not really off to a good start here. I can see the end of the crank, it looks okay, but the outside of the clutch here where the threads are for the puller, not good. So I cleaned out the threads with a pick as best I could. I'm just gonna try and work the puller in there. They seem to be doing okay, but hopefully they don't strip out when I try to actually press the crank off, but you can only do what you can do. All right, so put a long handle ratchet on. We got some good news and some bad news. The engine is now free. So that gives me some hope for getting the jug off. But now I'll definitely have to put an impact on the clutch to try and break that free. Heck yeah. Crank's not looking too terrible. Hopefully my puller's not stuck in the crank now, but that's a step in the right direction anyways. So now that the clutch is out of the way on the other side, it sits on the bench a bit better. I gotta take the flywheel and the magneto and everything off. It's a little crusty here. That's not the best, but I can always fix those threads, I think. And this engine, it was hard to tell from the pictures. Like there was only one picture, but there was a yellow fender in it. So I think that means that this is like an early 70s engine, but it still has the two ports for two plugs. So I'm a little confused. It could be made from parts, or this could be another cylinder jug, but I'm gonna wanna try and save everything as much as I can, like even the flywheel and stator and all that. It's different than the one I have. So this is a 2-wire. That leads me to believe that this is points instead of CDI like that engine. But that's okay because you can just swap from one to the other. Honda, and all their brilliant wisdom, they made it so that all you had to do was change the stator plate and the flywheel, and then you could do a CDI conversion. So I cleaned up those threads, put some penetrating oil, let that soak for a minute before we try and pull this off. We got lots of end play here. Hopefully it's not thrashed inside, but I took a risk buying this motor, so we're committed now. Thank you, beauty. Came right off of there. So yeah, this engine does have points, and it's obviously seen some abuse here. This key is sheared right off, and I think that's it right there. Crusty. Good thing we're going to do the CDI conversion on it. But the crank is still looking okay. It's looking 60-40 at this point. We'll see what happens once we get the jug off. So for the next step here, I'm going to try and get these head studs loose, pull the jug off now that the piston is broken free from in there. Hopefully it's not too bad. I mean, could be a good spare, could be something else that I could get machined for another piston or whatever. But again, I want to save as much as I can. On these engines, there's actually 5 studs. So there's 4 that go into the case halves, and then there's 1 that goes into the jug. The small one that's in here has been broken off. I already cracked these loose, so that's a good sign. I'm not sure if they're going to come out as a stud or just this fancy little nut, but we're about to find out. Hopefully there's some reusable parts here too. But if there's not, there's not, right? Can't change it. But so far we've had pretty good luck with getting things apart, knock on wood. To help break the jug free, I'm going to take out all the bolts in the case and then try and split it just a little bit. I'm not too concerned about keeping the one case half now, obviously, as it's been smashed thanks to whoever shipped it here. But what do you do? Finally got some good news here. So I got the jug pulled off, didn't go too bad. The crank doesn't actually look too bad. So it's rusty, but that's okay. I can work with rust as long as it's not pitted like my other one. So the next objective is going to be to split these cases, and then we'll put everything in the ultrasonic cleaner, get it cleaned up. But I'm feeling really hopeful about it. It looks like it's just surface rust, and that's pretty minor. There we have it, folks. Got the crank out. It's looking pretty not bad. There's a little bit of scoring here, but I think that'll clean up. Unfortunately, I'm really worried about where this seal rides. So I think there's barely enough for it to get a good seal, but the crank is pretty pitted at the end. We'll see what the machine shop says, but for now we're going to take this crank and the carb, put them in the ultrasonic cleaner and get them cleaned up. But it's a huge step ahead from this other crank that I had. So you can see how pitted this is, and there's a deep groove. That seal never would have lasted, and there's so much pitting on here, who knows if that would have even balanced out nicely. So I still think this is a step in the right direction. Kind of sucks that the cases were smashed when it came in the mail, but we'll get this cleaned up and see what it looks like. All right, so I've got the crank, the carb boot adapter, and all the pieces in our ultrasonic cleaner here. The float seems to be floating, which that's okay. I think it should be all right just to bob around in there. So I'm going to run this for a couple half-hour cycles. We'll see what it looks like. Hopefully everything turns out okay and we'll be able to reuse this crank.